Hi, I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation, and today's topic is how do I know when to stop fighting for my marriage? Hi, welcome back. I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. How do I know when do I stop fighting for my marriage? It's a very good question. I want to tell you that I'm going to give you some answers that are non-traditional. I'm not a Western psychologist. To tell you how I got into this is kind of interesting. I won't spend too much time on that. I used to be a divorce mediator, and in 2001, ancient, right? In 2001, a couple asked me to save their marriage instead of take them into court and get it dissolved. And I thought I'd give it a try because they said, you're a communications expert. Sure, I am. And so I thought about it for quite a while before I met with them. I asked them for a few months. And I didn't like, even though I had been through it myself, I was divorced at that time. And I didn't like marriage counseling. And I didn't want to be a marriage counselor. And it wouldn't have been right because I'm not a Western psychologist. So I started asking some very important questions. And these are pertinent to you. The number one question I ask is, why do we get married in the first place? And the answer is fascinating in its simplicity. We get married to be happier. Everyone you ask, if you ask somebody, they'll say, well, I fell in love. Sure. But that doesn't mean you have to get married. So, okay, then I asked the next question, well, what makes us happy? And I know for me, there's different things that make me happy, but they're all fleeting. In those days, I had a Jag. I love my car. But it's fleeting happiness. I could live without it. And things wear out. But love makes you happy, period. No matter what you're going through, when you feel love, you're covered, you're happy. We're not that complex. Well, maybe we are, but in other ways, we're simple. The other day, I saw a baby crying. It was with her father. And she wasn't a baby. She was probably 3, and she was just bawling her eyes out. And he couldn't give her peace. He couldn't, no matter what he said. He finally got up out of frustration, and he walked away. And I thought, did he just abandon? No, his wife came back, looked at the daughter. She was still freaking out, and she just sat down next to her, picked her up, cradled her in her arms, and she leaned against her and stopped crying, and she was fine. And I just thought, wow, now that is the magic of feeling love, isn't it? Isn't it? And so we get married for happiness and love, and then we blow it. It's not our fault. Where did you learn how to get married? I asked myself that. Where did I learn how to get married? And you know what the answer was? Sitcoms on TV. Sitcoms, movies, books. I never really learned how to get married, and the psychological books on marriage that I read way back, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From the Shopping Mall and things like that, they were cool. They were interesting. Or the languages of love. It's interesting, but it doesn't encapsulate what marriage is all about. And so early on, I realized, okay, is this my mission? I'm going to create teachings about marriage. And I did. Starting in 2001. And I was making really good money. I got $300. That may not be a lot of money today, but then in 2001, it was. 2001, I got $300 a session. I had plenty of customers because I was in San Diego, the divorce capital of the world almost. And I realized, this is too important. I'm okay taking a pay cut. I didn't realize at the time how dramatic it was, because also at that time, People were paying $80 for marriage counseling, but I'm going to do this. And so I put together marriage teachings. Now, they're in my books, Lessons for a Happy Marriage and Breaking the Cycle. And they're wonderful. They're still selling after all these years. And, admittedly, it's not on the bestseller list, but I realized the reason why not. If you read the reviews, you go to Amazon or go to our website and read the reviews, everyone loves it. High praise, but it's not trendy. It's not meant to be trendy. It's meant to be accurate. When I was a divorce mediator, I had a big whiteboard. Everything was laid out. And I realized everything in the universe, everything, has a mechanical component. If it has a mechanical component and there's a broken part, it can be fixed. Right. That's kind of the basis for Western psychological approach to marriage. That's the traditional approach. But what if you don't even know how to run the machine? And that's the problem. We never learned how to live our marriage in a way that produces what I said before, happiness and love. We never are taught that. Because if you watch sitcoms, the number one fascinating part of marriage is sarcasm. Making fun of each other, laughing at each other, coming into dramas. Arguing is normal. Calling each other out is normal. But when you first met, you didn't call each other out. You praised each other. Even if something was bothering you in your mind, you let your heart get in front of your mind's fascination with the negative, and you said, no, I'm going to tell her how beautiful she is. No, I'm going to tell him how handsome he is. And that was the right way to do it. And so now here you are. Your marriage is in trouble. And you want to know, when do I stop? When do I not fight for my marriage? And I'm going to give you some answers. Number one, you continue to fight for your marriage if there was betrayal. You continue anyway. You continue to fight for your marriage if you're arguing too much. These are all healable, fixable. In fact, I even knew that when we were doing divorce mediation. I had a couple come to me. For him, it was his third marriage. You could fix those things. Now, you can't go back and change the things, but if you change who you are in your marriage, you have changed your marriage. So if you make the effort now, the correct effort, you can transform your marriage from a downward trend to an upward climb into the heavens. Because your marriage, when it's properly working, think about the wedding day, how beautiful it was, how much you adored each other. That's what marriage is meant to be all the time. All the time. There is no end to the progress it's amazing. Love has no end. Isn't it beautiful? Think about it. There is no circumference to love. It's infinite. That's why people say love is God. God is love. I can't argue with that. Now, certainly it must just be an attribute of his, but it's the best one from my point of view because I love it. It makes me so happy. And there's no better place than in your marriage to cultivate that love, cultivate that devotion. But if you go, oh no, he or she did all these things, I just can't take it anymore, blah, 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 blah. Stop and ask yourself, do I really know how to be married? No, you don't. Sorry to be the one to tell you. but you do not know how to be married. I didn't know how to be married. When I started training marriage counselors, how to be a real marriage counselor, and I started going onto the whiteboard, I love my whiteboard, they were dumbfounded. They'd never heard these things before. Their eyes were opening. It was blowing their minds. Why? Because I began with this. And this is what I begin with also in the online courses that we have, one for men, one for women. The anatomy of a fight. Why do we fight? And I broke it down. Because how can you fix something if you don't know how it's constructed? Doesn't that make sense? So you can do it. You could do it. So how do I know when to stop fighting for your marriage? You stop if you discover that your spouse is a criminal, a terrorist, a pedophile, something where there's no way to bridge that gap. That's when. Not when they, way back in the beginning. And this was very interesting because I was learning how to heal marriages, and I had to learn about the boundaries. So this one lady called me from New Haven, Connecticut, and she was a professor at Yale University, and so was her husband. And her husband had taken up with a student. And she said, "Can you help me?" I said, "I have no idea, but let's try." And so we would talk on the phone, maybe once a week, maybe every 2 weeks, maybe more often if she needed a little boost. And we would go over what was going on. And what should I do was always the question. And my answer was, I don't know what you should do, but whatever it is, you should be coming from a place of unconditional love. Because that is the panacea. Unconditional love. Who can resist unconditional love? And he had already moved out. He was already living with this homewrecker. He moved back in with his wife. You just never know. But I do know this. If you quit working on it, it's over. It's done. Then you have failed. Your marriage has failed. Time to move on because you decided to quit. So I always say to people, don't give up. Now, there are times, of course, to be practical, like if your wife has moved in with a boyfriend or something, that's done. She's not coming back. There are situations like that, but you could write to our counselors and ask. It's free. There's a link below. Ask a counselor. We have the experience, we have the knowledge, and we're going to tell you. We're here to serve you. Okay, I've been going on maybe a little longer than I should have. I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. I hope this was helpful. If it was, leave a like. Share this with other people. And I hope to see you again. God bless you. Thank you. And take care.